Hey, you know what's amazing? Like, seriously, like a day went by and I didn't buy a book. That's a victory. Let's talk about this week. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update with all kinds of things going on that we get to talk about. And there are a few things different from last week. So if you're like, I already know what you're doing, you might not. There's a couple other things I want to talk about. I try not to repeat myself too much on here. But before we get going, as always, guys, I'd like to give you the update on the subscriber count. We're pushing 12,500, keeping about the same pace. The goal is still August, by my birthday, early August, is to hit that 15K mark. That is the next target. And unless I hit a really brick wall, I feel like it's going to get there. But again, I keep saying I feel like this is going to taper off eventually. Guys, if you like what I do here and you want to hear more off of the channel, make sure you hit up the Discord. The description, or the link is in the description below, where you can join us, where we talk about everything from books to what you're reading, what you're listening to, basically everything we go over in the weekly updates here. What you listen to, what you're playing, what are you doing? If you want to really just you want to exchange recipes or talk about what you're drinking, there's a channel for that on the Discord. I think it's the best way to get a hold of me if you are not having so much success, because I've said now that there are more viewers on the channel, there's more comments. I'm not able to keep up with everything that comes in the comments like I used to when I first started. So if you really want to get in touch with me, that's the best way, is to hit up the Discord. And as always, if you like the channel and you appreciate what I do and you want to help out the channel, make sure you hit out the Patreon. You can help out the channel any way that you want. There's nothing too little, too big, whatever you want to do. But again, as always, nothing on the channel as is right now is going to change. You just get different perks. So that is it. If you want to help out the channel, great. If not, no big deal. No big deal. We are going to keep on going as we have for the last year plus. Let's get into this week, guys. I finished reading Changes. And you know what? Most instances, you get a book like this where everyone hypes it to the moon, and you read it and it can't possibly meet those expectations. I'm going to save that for my spoiler review, which should be coming early next week. But I will just say it lived up to them. Okay, it very much did. If you need to know how I felt about it exactly, I did do a live reading, pure request. You guys wanted to see this. Per request, I did do a live reading of the last 2 chapters. And that was an experience because, crazy stuff went down. And everybody said like the last chapter, the second to the last chapter. Holy hell. So, just really good stuff. I can't wait to talk to you guys about it because, again, whenever you have a book hyped that much and it meets the expectations, that's saying quite a bit. So with everything that's going on with that, everybody explained that the short story in Side Jobs here, Aftermath, was basically, it was sold to be as the post-credit scene for Changes. And I've said that I was going to skip all these until I got to the end. And then if I had time, because I am against that race against the clock before Peace Talks comes out, I would go back and I would read those and be able to fill in the gaps later. Not a big deal. But everyone really stressed that Aftermath really helps out because there's a big moment in Ghost Story. That's the next book that seems like it comes out of nowhere if you haven't read that one. So I am reading that one. I'm about halfway done with it. I'll probably be finishing it here soon. And I'll be starting Ghost Story next week. Like I said, that is my priority right now. I am trying to be there before July 14th is when Peace Talks comes out. As far as I know, I'm not getting an arc for it anymore because I believe the publisher is shut down right now due to the whole pandemic. You're not allowed to say the name, all right? So there, the pandemic. We'll just keep calling it the virus that must not be named, right? Let's leave it at that. So that's the goal. That's the goal, is to keep on reading Dresden Files and being current on that soon. And I don't imagine that's going to be a problem. I went through Changes in a couple of days. I know that Ghost Story seems to be the most divisive book of the Dresden Files. It seems like everyone agrees that books 1 and 2 were just like okay, and then it just kind of goes up from there. Ghost Story, I've seen people say they love it, and I've seen people say they can't stand it. So I'm really interested to see, and I think it's the longest book in the series. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I might be wrong on that. That was just kind of glancing at it before I picked up this one for this video. But I'm interested to see, because if you know the way the Changes ended, you need to know what's going on here. So I'm glad, I'm very thankful that I waited to read this series until now, because if I had to wait a year and a half like you guys did for that next book, I probably would have strangled someone. That's coming from a George R.R. Martin fan. So yeah, that's just kind of the way that it ended there. I've spoken before about how Stephen King content doesn't do awful numbers, but it doesn't touch like what my fantasy stuff does on this channel. And so Stephen King is a personal favorite of mine. That's my favorite author of all time. I've got everything he's ever written on hardcover, so I'm going to keep talking about him. So I'm keeping the Into the Multiverse series going. I did talk about Firestarter this week. I think it's an underrated book, and people don't understand how much this influenced our popular culture. If you liked Stranger Things, this book is going to be perfect for you, because I basically feel like season 1 is a mashup of this, Night Shift, and The Mist. And that's meant very much in a complimentary way. I don't want to get into a big Stranger Things conversation here. I love that show. I love it because it's basically Stephen King's greatest hits, and it all starts with this one. So thank you. Watch that video, because, guys, like I said, the end of the multiverse stuff, no spoilers until the very end. So you're safe. If you haven't read it, you're safe. I would love to be able to talk more Stephen King on the channel. I would love if more people read Cy King, because he's the main. I want to keep talking about him, and I want more people to know what's going on with him. To update my Cosmere stuff, I plan on doing the Alloy of Law review this week. A couple things I can't talk about yet kind of happened this week, and you'll find out what those are next week. It's a little bit of a surprise. I'm kind of keeping to myself, and because I want to have some surprises on the channel. Yes, if you're on the Discord or if you're a patron, you do get to know about things before they happen. But this one I'm kind of keeping close to the vest, just because I'm not sure how it's going to turn out. So I don't want to actually talk about it before it actually happens, and just kind of see how it goes, right? So I'll talk more in depth about that when it happens, but do look for the reviews for Changes and Alloy of Law next week. I kind of talked last week that I really liked Alloy of Law, and Alloy of Law, and I want to talk about it because it was surprising how much I really did enjoy it. So I did do my book haul video. I talked last week about how I did have how the stores out here in Texas are open again, including bookstores, and yeah, I went crazy. And a lot of people are like, how do you afford all this stuff? I mean, look, first of all, it's personal, right? Second of all, guys, you are like me. You stock up on your gift card. What do people get someone who does nothing but read? And they don't go buy him books because they feel like he already buys all the books he wants. So they always tell me, here's a gift card. They used to get me either gift cards to a bookstore, or they used to get me gift cards to the liquor store, and I don't drink anymore. So it's just all book gift cards now. And I'll stockpile those for when I am just itching to go to the bookstore, right? While I was itching to go to the bookstore, I had a 20% off your entire purchase coupon. Guys, it's not hard. It's not hard to plan for these things, right? So I got in and out of there without actually spending that crazy big book haul that I just did. I don't think I spent $12 out of pocket money. So yeah, I don't think anybody wants a financial advising class right now. I could do that if you want to. I worked in financial advising, budgeting, risk analysis for years. I can give you that seminar if that's what you want, but some tells me that's not what you guys want to hear about. Anyways, I just thought it was really weird that was a big comment that I got on that video, but it was a very fun book haul. I like talking about it. Had some people say, wow, that's actually pretty short for you for that number of books. So it's like, well, you don't know a lot about a series. There's not really much to talk about. It's just really letting you guys see what the covers look like, if the spines match, how tall they are. People want to know that stuff before they buy them, I think. At least I do. I want to know. I don't want to. Last thing I want to go do is buy a complete series and find out that the spines don't match or the numbers don't line up. If you're OCD about those kind of things, that could be quite annoying. That reminds me, I'm going to do one of the biggest requests I get now is, can we see your bookshelves? And I did do a video in the past where it was doing my bookshelves, but a lot of things have changed since then. I've added a bunch of new things. I've added a new shelf. So I'm going to do a updated bookshelf tour sometime next week, and just so kind of trying to just decide how I want to do it. But I mean, do I just want to or do I want to do like last time where I talk about each series and things like that? You guys drop in the comments. Let me know what you'd like to see in a tour. If you just want to just see the books, I mean, I could take a snapshot and just put it on the community tab for you. But if you want an actual slow, like, kind of commentary about it, I'd love to do that because I love showing off my precious. Let's talk about good news. Good news for me. Good news for the channel. I have been trying to break through with publishers for a while now to get advanced reading copies. Finally got through with Orbit. They did. They were true to their word. They did send me the advanced reader copy for the Rage of Dragons sequel, which I'm reading right now. That review won't be coming until this fall, though, because as you know, the book doesn't come out to November, and they would like the review to be a little closer to the release of it. So I am thankful that I'm on that list. I am excited about that partnership. Orbit is basically it for fantasy in the United States. If it's not Orbit, it's Tor, and I'm still working on that one. But yeah, but Orbit, I'm just so just so thankful that I was able to get through with them and be able to get on the list, because that's where my guy Joe Abercrombie goes through. Yeah, very, very excited. So I haven't gotten really far into Fires of Vengeance yet, because at first I was like, well, I want to, I want to be one of the first people to get a review of. And I was like, you know what? They do want these later. I've got months. Let's ease off on that. I was excited. I mean, that's one of my top 5 most anticipated books of this year. If we didn't have a new Abercrombie book and a new Stormlight book, it probably would have been higher than that. But these things happen. There's new Dresden Files too. So it is obviously something I was very excited about. So I want to keep reading it. But I'm like, okay, look, you're 3 out of 4 books into the Faithful to Fallen series, which I've talked about and I love. I want to finish that 4th book. I did want to take a quick break after book 3, because good Lord, it shattered me. And that's not hyperbole. But I've also reached that point where it's like, I don't want to finish it, because then I don't get to see these people anymore. And I love this series, and I'm attached to these characters. And I guess the good news is well, John Gwynne doesn't seem to love them as much as we do. But you can watch that review if you want to know what I mean by that. And I also picked up the last Broken Empire book, Emperor of Thorns, trying to get that one I talked about before, about cleaning up my TBR and getting some of those unfinished series over and out. And that is one of them. I'm about 40% through with Emperor of Thorns. So I'll go ahead and push Fires of Vengeance back a little bit, because I don't want to forget everything about it before it's time to talk about it. And I'll finish the Emperor of Thorns and get back on Wrath here very soon, along with Dresden. As long as I'm staying ahead of schedule on Dresden, which I think I will be. If you guys buckle down on one of these, you can read it in a day or two. Yeah, that's where we are with that. And that's where we are with books. Pretty much done with books now. I did do a ton of other things this week that I, want to talk about. Kid had a birthday and stuff. That kind of takes a lot out of you. Yeah, my runs are 8 and 5 now. It's crazy to me. Anyhow, the 8-year-old is obsessed with Lord of the Rings. He loves it. And I love that he loves it. And basically about every 6 months we'll say, hey, we should watch Lord of the Rings. And that those are not a short trip. However, I'm a full-on ringer, and I'm always down to watch the extended edition trilogy. So what we do is we'll usually just watch like the Blu-ray sets. They're 2 discs each for each movie. So we'd watch like 1 disc per night. And Return of the King we kind of broke into 3 nights just because it's so much longer. But watching it again, I'm just blown away by. I don't think people appreciate how much, just how amazing those movies are and how amazing they've aged. I've heard people be like, well, imagine if the technology was today. I think it's aged fine. The technology looks incredible. What they were able to do, I can't believe I'm saying this, 20 years ago these things were filmed. And what they were able to do was just amazing. And I'm glad that they were made when they were made. Because it's kind of that thing with George Lucas, where you think back to the original Star Wars trilogy and you say, him having the financial restraints, him having shoestring budgets really helped him stay on task and not overdo things. And I think that helped a lot with Lord of the Rings too. They filmed all 3 of those at once before they were a financial success. So, they had to stick to what worked. And I think that really helped make them lean. And I think that showed what happened with The Hobbit. It helped them keep it lean and stay on focus and stay true to the books. And I said yesterday, from the Ride of the Rohirrim to You Bow to No One, I'm just a mess every time I watch those movies. And yes, I love those books so much, and I love those movies just as much. God, that soundtrack will just move you, man. It's so good. I can't wait to talk to you guys about more Lord of the Rings stuff. It's happening soon. I was planning on doing Lord of the Rings stuff more closer to when the Amazon series is coming out. Now I have no idea when that's happening. I think the Wheel of Time series comes out before the Lord of the Rings series. So, yeah, it's going to be a while. So I've decided I'm going to move up some of my Lord of the Rings stuff because that's my favorite fantasy series of all time. Why have I not talked about it? That's why. But I did want to say that there was a reunion episode that Josh Gad did. I forget what it's called. He calls it United Apart or something like that. Something he does as a fundraiser, and he'll reunite cast from old movies from his childhood. And he brought back the cast from Fellowship of the Ring, and I mean almost all of them. It was one of those things I was kind of like, I've watched those, and I don't really feel like, because you hear a lot of the times about, oh, do you stay in touch with so-and-so? And they're always like, oh, yeah, we're real good friends, and you don't believe it. I believe it with this group. I mean, it was like you were hanging out with family again, and it was really it's just incredible. Liv Tyler still speaks Elvish, and I mean, it blew me away. I thought it was just going to be the 4 of them. It was just going to be, Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin. And then he just kept on bringing on more and more and more. And besides Christopher Lee, obviously, who isn't with us anymore, I believe he got damn near the whole group. He got the entire fellowship back together. And that was a good time. Watch it if you haven't. Like I said, most of those reunion episodes are never, ever entertaining me, but this one was. And I mean, there's a couple times where I was like almost misty-eyed because they start like reenacting scenes and stuff. It felt like what a class reunion should feel like you were catching up with friends. It was really impressive, and I'm glad that he did it. And it was for a good cause. It was the place there where you can donate for hungry kids and stuff, which I'm always in support of. So, guys, that's really all that's going on for me. What are you guys up to? What are you listening to? What are you playing? What are you reading? What are you doing? Hit me in the comments, guys. Let me know what things are going on with you, and I will talk to you next week. Have a great weekend.